you so sure that Twitter does, even despite your description of it as an opinion shaper, why are you so sure that the opinions of those on Twitter will go a long way in deciding if Bola Tinubu has declared his intention now, or maybe Atiku, who is the candidate to beat in the PDP? How does Twitter decide between these candidates, these aspirants who will eventually get the ticket? Can you please um, redo me, please?
Well, I mean, both of us know that Twitter has no role in doing that, right? But again, it's just to say that in helping people make decisions, right? There's that place of people seeing tweets and people relating to them. I mean, intellectual people, emphasis on intellectual people, right, would want to engage based on what this candidate has to say. And of course, as we know, during elections, many of these people use Twitter a lot, right? They will put their statements there. There'll be back and forth conversations around who is who and who has what's up and all of that. People that follow those conversations might be swayed one way or the other. But like I'd call that, it's just going to be a very small population of people like that. I mean, we both know that many of those, or many of us on Twitter, sometimes it's just about the band and all of that, right? But in terms of actual governance, we know, I know, that it's not Twitter. It's offline. But what I've also clearly called out is the fact that while Twitter is not that platform or that place where decisions are made, it also has some sense of influence. Now, the level at which that influence is being done at is not widespread, and that's the truth. But there are a few people here and there who, based on opinions made, having followed conversations on Twitter, can decide to influence their immediate family, right? And that's the example I gave earlier. So someone, based on the condition of Twitter, sees that Dio has more sense than Dakpo in terms of having to fix Nigeria's problem. And because Dio bankrolls his family in Nigeria, even though he's in the UK, Dio can call them and tell them, I actually want you guys to vote for this person or that person. Again, how significant can that be? Maybe not. But like we know with elections, look at the Osun State governorship election in, I think, 2018, where the Adeleke lost with about 200 and something votes, and then they had to do a rerun. Now imagine if 200 and something votes could determine the outcome of an election. So while we might look at the numbers as 1 million, something, 100 and something thousand, but we've seen very little instances where very small numbers can actually make some difference in that sense. So again, just to recap, I don't believe that in deciding whether it's Atiku or Tinubu, by the way, it's actually painful that those are actually the two major options we are looking at in 2022. That's the sad truth. But that's the very sad truth, right? But it's sad to see that that's what it is at the moment. But Twitter would not definitely help decide who's going to win eventually, but it helps just shape conversations. And the politicians actually understand the need to do those things. I mean, as we know, that many of these things they do is just trying to shape people's perspectives and opinion, right? And that's what elections campaigns are most of the time. So while they try to use money to sway people, it's also trying to shape narratives. And that's why they try to bring up deaths here and there about this person, that person. So they would use Twitter to help people shape their perception about each other. The level of influence, a little, but again, like I've said, it's quite important, and we can't even take that out. But just to also call out the fact that elections are not on Twitter, primaries are not on Twitter, they are offline, right? Okay. But those discussions that are being held are also important.
Thank you. I think this is more balanced now. But just hold your thoughts on the entire thing. I'll come back to you. Rita isn't online. I was just going to get Rita's thoughts. Okay. I hope she rejoins the call. It's probably a network thing. But let me come back to you quickly, Dapo. While you were speaking, while you were trying to make clarifications, something came to my mind, and um, it's about the fact that do you think that yes, Twitter didn't matter if you look at the 2019 election, that was before the NSAS. A lot has shifted, talking about in the political temperature of the country, about what we can do to mobilize, galvanize one another. A lot has indeed shifted. So, do you think that yes, the influence that Twitter offers is not it's not widespread, but that Twitter will matter more in the 2023 elections than it ever did?
So, I think so. But about the blankets, yes. I think it would matter more if young people see the importance. So, young people are like the population on Twitter, I mean, arguably the young people, young Nigerians. Like I had mentioned earlier, they were the ones that trended answers. Now, if that same energy that they used to trend, or that we used, I mean, we're part I was involved. If the same energy we used to trend answers and we did online stuff, then we took the energy offline. If we can use that same energy for elections, it would do something actually, right? So, what I would want to see and what can actually make some sort of changes, rant online on Twitter, have these conversations like I know they've started happening already, have those discussions, but rather than just stuck on there, take the next step of faith or whichever it is, and go and get PVCs, right? Take the next step of whatever it is, and go and mobilize people offline, because those old people, those bricklayers or organizers or drivers are not looking at those Twitter conversations. So again, young people on Twitter or wherever it is can get sensitized, mobilized in some way, and take their fingers off their phones and go and get registered, and also help other people get registered, and help other people see the need to vote properly.
Okay, let me pause you there, Dapo. Rita, you're back now. I tried speaking with you earlier. Hi, Rita. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I apologize for the phone is off.
Okay, no problem. We're still in Nigeria. So, Rita, there have been various figures that have been bandied around. We have telecom paper saying that during the period of the Twitter ban, Nigeria was losing $4.86 million daily. That's 2 billion naira daily, and the Guardian newspaper this week came up to say that after 222 days of the Twitter ban, Nigeria lost about 546.5 billion naira in total. I mean, for somebody who is not very knowledgeable about this, can you please explain to us how we lost this money? You see that Twitter is to give Nigeria this money and they stopped giving us while the operations were on ban.
Okay. So, though I'm not sure of these figures, but this money is lost through different means by startups, because most startups these days, most startups are online, and a lot of startups are doing they focus majorly on Twitter, right? And when this income is not coming in, that is where you see, and I think that is where they must have gotten their figures from. And also, when you look at the tax implication, so when you buy from vendors online, definitely there's some things that you might have to pay tax on. There's some things that the vendors themselves will have to pay tax on. Through even their business, when you register your business and you're selling online, there are a lot of things that you will have to pay tax for. And this is how I see that Nigeria might have lost this income online. And then also, even influencers, there are a lot of ways that people make money through Twitter. Influencers, freelancing, startups, and all that. So I believe this is how Nigeria must have lost all that income they're talking about.
Okay. So this is in the course of the Twitter ban. let me find out from you very quickly, Rita. Um, what do you think is likely to be the economic implication of this new direction now that Twitter has been the ban has been lifted? What do you think is going to be the economic implication on general outlook?
I mean, a lot of people are going to get back on their feet, right? Like I even noticed when I tried to review this, I also noticed that a lot of people were not even out in the first place. They were still using their VPN to access Twitter and all that. So this lifting of Twitter ban is going to allow a lot of people to come back to the space and continue what they were doing before.
So, just to also get your thought, let's assume, like you rightly said earlier, it appears now that with the age and time that we are, a lot of startups actually run their businesses without having to without having a physical office.
So yeah,
Yes, a
yes,
physical
that's
space. Yes. So when let's assume that what happened with Twitter happened also to Facebook. So Facebook is shut down for whatsoever reason. Twitter is shut down. Instagram is shut down. Do
hmm.
you see this having any significant effect on the Nigerian economy,
Of
especially in
course.
terms of employment and, of course, small and medium enterprises, medium scale enterprises?
Enterprises, yeah.
Please go on.
Of course, definitely. Of course, there are a lot of people, like, there are more people making money online right now. Okay, I can't verify the statistics, but from what I have seen and from the research that I have conducted, I believe that there are more people making money online than offline right now. Okay, not everybody has that means to get a physical space, and not everybody also has the time or the wherewithal. So there are a lot more people making money online. So imagine that all the social media platforms are out. It's going to be a catastrophe because there'll be because what would they do really? What would they what would they resort to? Right? There's some people that don't leave their houses. Everything they do is online. They do their business online, they do deliveries without even leaving their houses. So it's going to have a monumental effect on Nigerian economy, definitely, definitely. Because if you even check it, Twitter has less users than Facebook and Instagram. So that means there are more vendors on Facebook and Instagram. So when you add up, and just Twitter, we're losing 546 billion naira in how many months? So imagine if um, three of the platforms were down. So there'll be a monumental effect. So let's just hope it never gets to that.
Okay, I want to agree with you largely, especially because maybe not to the extent, but especially because when we look at it from the prism of people, vendors and startups still use VPN to make some businesses, but it wasn't the same for, and we lost up to half a trillion naira. So when you take that out completely, you take Facebook and Instagram where you even have more vendors. I believe that the loss will really be enormous. Okay, thank you. I'll come back to you, Rita. Dapo, are you still with us?
Yes, I have that.
Okay, so Dapo, let's examine the conditions that were given to Twitter in itself. I mean, there has been huge debate. Um, Critics of the Buhari administration have said this whole thing is bobo. Like, um, they 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 don't have many persons are saying they need enough evidence to show that Twitter actually had this conversation with Nigeria because it seemed one-sided. All we've been seeing is Lai Mohammed coming out to say, "Oh, we have met with Twitter this week. We are meeting with Twitter next week." Keyamo comes out and say this. And what's your own thought on this?
Okay, so I mean, from what we have seen, which again is based off what is online, right? Twitter only released a tweet to say that they are pleased with the development, and they are deeply committed to Nigeria. There has been no official communication from their end to say what they agreed to doing. But based on what Nigerian government asked, five things really. The first one is to register in Nigeria, appoint a designated country representative, comply with tax obligations in Nigeria, enroll Nigeria in its portal for direct communications between government officials and Twitter to manage prohibited content that violates Twitter community's rules. Then the fifth one, act with a respectful acknowledgement of Nigerian laws. I would actually want to think that Twitter agreed to this things. So as much as, I mean, what this thing has showed us that is the fact that government actually has power to do a lot more things than we know or than we thought was possible, right? This just showed us that if they want to stop social media tomorrow, they just need to, they just need to have you, they just need to want to do it, and they will get it done, and nothing will happen. There, nothing would happen. But I think that for Twitter to have come back now, I want to believe that this must have been agreed to. I know that while there's still talk around elections, which I believe strongly must have influenced this, the extent to which they had to bend their back over and all of that, I don't know. Of course, I'm not privy to those information, but I would just assume that Twitter must have agreed to some of these things. Actually, the office, I mean, they can have an office in Nigeria. Nigeria is one of Twitter's biggest shops in that sense in Africa. So that shouldn't cost them in that sense, or cost them a lot rather. So I think it's not impossible to have an office, have a representative, and a few other things like that. So I would, from my own point of view, say that it's possible that they must have agreed to do these things. Of course, when Twitter issues a formal statement, if any, we can know for sure what it is they agreed to do or not do. But I mean, in the coming days, we would see clearly if the Nigerian government were being insincere like they have many times, or this was actually true, and Twitter actually agreed to do all of this. I just think that in a few, the Nigerian government said first quarter, these things will be done. They've agreed. So first quarter ends March, April, we would see. And by then we would know if it was just all a joke, or they were actually serious with this. And I would also believe that they wouldn't want to stoop so low to just agree without all of these demands being met. I would just believe so. I mean, I like believing the best, right? So I just believe that they wouldn't stoop so low to agree to restoring Twitter's operation in Nigeria without these 5 demands being met, and they waited for 7 months to do that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Dapo. I'm using the floor now to my co-host, Kola Efe. Your questions. Hi, Kola. Oh, it seems Kola is stuck. Efe, can you hear me?
Hello, Dayo. Can you hear me?
Yes, hear me.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good to have you on the show today. And special greetings to our guest speakers. At this time, I would just ask quickly, from public opinion perspective, the public opinion point of view, do you think the banning and unbanning of Twitter in Nigeria, is it a win for the government? Do you think this has been a win for the government? Do you think this will, going forward, especially as we are looking at an election year, will government suffer for this? Will they benefit from this? So, especially from public opinion perspective, do you think that this has been, a win for the federal government? I like you both to respond to the question. Thank you. Maybe Dapo can
Hi, Richard, you want to
take
go
it.
first? Hi, Richard.
Yes, Dayo, I didn't get his question properly. So I was thinking
He's
you were going to
asking.
go through
He's
it again.
asking if it's a win. Do you think that the government won in any way? Do you think that public opinion will be in his favor with what it has done? That's what he's asking.
Definitely not, because everybody's aware of their antics. So nobody's. I don't think anybody on Twitter is not aware of what is going on. So I don't think the government won in any way. They did
So you
not win
think that
in any way.
So you think that during the election, if they say they mention the achievements of the APC government that they did this, they got Twitter to start paying taxes. It's not something that market women and those who are not intellectuals will rejoice about.
Nobody will be interested in that. Nobody will be interested because the taxes they started paying and all that thing. It was not even the initial plan. I think it was just a, what would you call it? Like we're trying to bounce back, right? Because they realized that they are still going. I think that was not even the plan. Do you understand? They're not doing that thing for our own benefit. Do you get? They're just looking for ways to make it look like, oh, we not just submit easily. We want to get this one and want to get that one. That's not the point. We can see through that those antics.
Okay, d'accord.
So I think that the ban was a well, and I should give credit to the government for this. The ban was a well thought out play, right? And I say that because primarily the objective was anger at I would Twitter delete a tweet by General Buhari. I mean, how? So was that anger, right? And I mean that was clear from how it actually happened. That was clear. But aside just that anger of how a small tweeter will delete a tweet by the general himself, he was also trying to play to the gallery and say that, well, it's not just the tweet. It even gives us opportunity to call out things they are not doing correctly, right? And I say it's a well thought out play or joke because if Twitter actually agreed to these 5 demands, they can come tomorrow and pull out records to show the tax that Twitter has paid. And while it might not be a lot to fix a road from Shagamu to Lagos, for example, or wherever it is, it might be some dollars, and it might count, right? If the government is able to pull up employment, so for example, you will have an office here in Nigeria, I'd expect that you have staff, right, here in Nigeria. If the government is able to pull up those numbers, it might actually interest a few people, help sway a few people to their side. So on that regard, I think kudos to the government for that well thought out play or plan. Even if we know the intentions behind it was just to gag freedom of speech. Those that are careful enough and pay attention really well would know that the intentions were clear. It was just the government saying we have this power and we can shut down Twitter. That was very clear. Those that are careful enough and pay attention will know that it's just all look. The 5 demands were just an add-on, right? So 2 things. To answer the question directly, I would say that first it was well thought out. If they just are careful enough and pay attention, those that do would know that it was just a fluke. It was just anger at what Twitter could do, and it was just the government taking a step in showing how they did not have respect for freedom of information and things like that, or freedom of conversations, or however it might couch it. On the second hand, including these 5 demands, pay a tax, establish an office in Nigeria, and all of that, might be a smart move to actually get some money in the Nigeria economy, which daily needs some money. Yeah.
Then, Dayo, please hold it. A follow-up question. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Lamuchi.
Okay. Dapo, do you see when the ban happened and from what we've been seeing in the news, it appears that you would expect that for a country making such a move, you would expect that who will be the one staying at home and Twitter or whichever outfit is affected now. is the one reaching out. But are you impressed with how the federal government of Nigeria has handled, the whole situation? Because we were the one, sending delegates, with taxpayers' money. I know that the federal government had to send a delegate to the United States. So those people, got paid. They spent money while they were there, and we never really saw Twitter reciprocating. Even now that we say that, the ban has been lifted and Twitter has agreed to some terms and all that, it's still the federal government talking. There's not much talking coming from, the side of Twitter. So the question is whether the federal government had, really gotten Twitter to do anything or not. But are you impressed in terms of, for our integrity as a nation? Are you impressed with how the federal government has handled the whole situation?
I mean, impressed, no, right? I'm clearly not impressed. However, I must say that I am not privy to what must have been the back-end discussions that must have gone into this, who traveled to where, I don't know. So I just really did a fast Google check to see pictures of maybe Nigerian government traveling to have those discussions. Nothing came up immediately. I'm seeing a CNN article that doesn't show that clearly. If you do, I would like to actually see it. See if there was an indication actually traveled to have that discussion with them or not. I don't know, so I can't comment on that clearly. I can also comment on who came to Nigeria, who went there. I honestly do not know. But of course, clearly, some money would have exchanged hands in these discussions we've been having thus far. So was it an impressive move from the government? Like I said earlier, I think it was just a smart play. I mean, that's the best way I can couch it. They saw an opportunity to prove themselves as we are against freedom of discussion or conversations, and right after doing that, they saw an opportunity to also get some money out of Twitter, and they took it. So was it smart? I think it was. Was it good? Was it commitment to democracy and what democracy stands for? Clearly not. Clearly not. That's what I would say about it. I hope I answered your question.
I think
Okay.
you did okay. So okay, Rita, you want
Can
to
I say
respond to
something,
that?
please?
You want to add to the
Can
to
I
what
say
that was
something?
said? You can. Hello, Rita. You can.
Okay. So when you're asking about it, if it was a smart move, there is another aspect which we have not looked at. Okay, then the government asking Twitter to create an office, like to register their business in Nigeria, also has some implications. If you notice, during the whole they wanted to sue Twitter, but it was difficult for them to sue Twitter because Twitter did not have any base of operation in Nigeria here. Okay, so when you're establishing an office here, it means you are now accepting to be under our laws, to be bound by our laws and all that. So I think that is another aspect. This is what the government wants to achieve. Do you understand? That is what they wanted to achieve by asking Twitter to register their business here. And obviously tax implications. Definitely, once you register your business in Nigeria, you're already subject to tax. So that one was just it's just part of the whole package. Do you understand? So they were not doing it for our benefit. They were actually doing it for their business benefit. Because the main issue I raised when Adamu Garba tried to, was it Adamu Garba or Kenneth Kobe? There was someone that tried to sue Twitter, right? But if you notice, it didn't really work out. Nothing happened at the end. So he did that. Now he's now doing that because, okay, it didn't work then because Twitter was not registered in Nigeria, right? They had no authority over them. They had no basis for suing them because the different jurisdictions. So that was why it didn't work out. But now they are asking them so that in case of anything, they could be able to fall back on this and sue them if need be. So that's an unpopular opinion, but
All right. Thank you, Rita. Dayo, over to you.
All right, thanks, Jeffrey. let me just quickly say that we'll be um, taking our audience opinion by 9:05. We have just about 5 minutes before we open the conversation for audience participation. So please just note your thoughts so that you can share your own, make your own contributions about what has been discussed so far. And of course, you can also give us unpopular opinion if you think that you totally do not agree with what has been said. But we have to be civil. We have to not attack one another and just go ahead to air our opinions. So I want to quickly find out from you before we get the audience view. So let me start with you, Dakpo. So you have a case where the national leader. I'm very quickly. It's important to correct that I don't think that we are going to be stuck with Tinubu and Atiku. We're just cruising or having banters, like we said earlier. I mean, there's still a lot that cannot be concluded right now. We don't even know what it's going to be like. But I'm just trying to put before us this picture that we have the national leader of the APC, Bola Tinubu, declaring his intention to run for the presidency. Even though he said he has told the president, but he has not told Nigerians. I really do not understand what that means. But he does declare before the president that he will be running, and then the next day there's a lifting of the ban on Twitter, and we've seen a flurry of declarations follow this. Um, do you think that? And sorry, I need to also add that there's been huge conversations about how popular, prominent figures on Twitter, prominent influencers, complain. Some have even had to lock their accounts. They complain that different bot accounts, like BOT bot now, bot accounts have had to follow them 200 at a go. It would seem like the APC has perfected this as a strategy to take over social media. There's been a lot of propaganda. They're already pushing achievements, pushing this and that. Do you really think that this will count in any way for the APC in the long run? Especially because they are the ones to beat, and according to many people, the PDP has not fully shown that it's ready to give the APC a strong fight. That's all.
Okay, so just to understand your question well, Daya, are you saying that do I think this decision to unban Twitter would count for the APC?
No, I'm saying we've stated that before. I'm saying,
yeah?
Do you think that it's a good strategy politically as it relates to the elections for the APC to flood Twitter with its achievement? You called it an opinion shaper earlier.
Yeah.
So do you think that this is whether we like it or not, whether we, like Rita said, we can see through their antics or not, do you really think that the APC would succeed with this strategy?
Well, I mean, so it's I'm sure that's going to be one of the many other things they'll be doing. So I know that they would spend lots of money pushing out information and stuff. If it's going to work or not, I mean, it's left to Nigerians and those who might want to believe or not believe what they see. But I know for a fact that there'll be a lot of information, true or wrong, out there by both parties, really. And to a good extent, it might count. But of course, we both know, and like we had agreed with, it depends on how much they also do offline. But clearly, without any doubt, both parties would spend lots of money on this social media campaign and pushing out narratives. We would see that in a matter of days or weeks from now. Would that happen? Very clearly, yes, it would. I mean, definitely. Would it count for them? I mean, if they play their cards well and they put the right content, it might count. Would it be enough to sway people or decide who's going to win or not? It's not going to be enough to do that. The elections clearly will be won off Twitter, off anywhere. right? But it might sway a few people here and there, and we've seen that happen with previous elections. How that a tweet from someone, a video from someone that's been pushed out can start from Twitter, and then you see how it can then enter Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and of course once it enters WhatsApp, we know it goes like wildfire across board. So we'll see those narratives come out, and depending on how it's being done, it might shape people's opinions or not. Yeah.
Well, just thank you, but just to add to that, because we are moving right now into the audience perspective segment. I think from what we've seen this week, it appears that Twitter will play a big role in asking the hard questions. The director of the Tinubu campaign groups was on Arise TV during the week, and he was asked by one of the Arise TV anchors about what Tinubu's real age is, how old is he, and how did he make his money, and that did make a lot of buzz all through the week, and even up to now, I've seen the Tinubu can push out a newspaper interview from 2008 or something on how he made his money outside Nigeria and all of that. So I just want to add, as we move to the audience participatory segment, that it appears that Twitter, compared to previous elections, will play a huge role in asking the hard questions that we're afraid to ask. And a lot of people have really emboldened the anchor by saying, yes, these are the kind of questions we're supposed to ask. And indeed, he also asked. I've watched subsequent interviews. He also asked other aspirants about how they made their money. Talking about Jules Okalu, now former governor of Anambra, Abia rather, and the current Senate chief whip. So thank you
Dayo.
very much.
Hello, Dayo.
We'll move very quickly into. Sorry.
That just before we have the audience come up, let me quickly add that, in same line, let me add that, if the APC as a political party, if it is that they have put pressure on the presidency to, unban Twitter because of the significance or the probably the positive effect it will have in terms of having to use that platform in the elections. Let's not forget that that is going to be a two-edged sword, or is a two-way thing. Just as Twitter will be unbanned and it will be available for the APC to use, it will also be available for other, political parties and opinion shapers and the general public as well. So whatever you're going to do with Twitter will be available, because you're not unbanning it for just APC and those sympathizing with the cause of the APC and the federal the government in power. You're also opening the space to the opposition and all other groups that we have anything to say. So it's I say it's a two-way thing. So it's not. I can't even say that is any positive for that is a move or a strategy for the APC. So that is. I just thought I should say that.
Okay, thank you very much, and I agree with you to a large extent. Twitter is for all, so you can't block other people's opinion from trending or coming out. Thank you so much, Rita and Dapo. So far, please stay with us. We'll be done in a short while. So please, if you'd like to say something, you want to make contributions, you want to ask questions, can you please put up your hand so that we can quickly get your thoughts? 2 minutes. Okay, I have 2 hands up. I've just sent you an invite, please, so you can come on stage. I accept the invite so you can come on stage to say something. Hi, Edison, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so please go ahead. What's your contribution?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm a bit. I have a pushback on some of the issues or opinions that we had regarding the government's true intentions and also the resolutions, supposed resolutions that we had between Twitter and the government. Because for me, the Twitter ban was a bit anticlimactic, if you ask me, because the drama surrounding the ban didn't live up to the expectation based on how the ban got turned over or removed. You understand? Because if this was supposed to be a win for the government, at least they should have come out and publicized it as much as they did when they implemented the ban. It was a bit laid back, it was a bit docile, and I'm a bit cynical about their motives and intentions. Because if they truly and genuinely reached an agreement with Twitter, I think it's 5 plan agreement, I think government would have pushed it so much in their favor because it's a win for them, and it will be the narrative that will be out there, not just having a laid back approach to say, oh, we have unbound it. And also in the past, if you look at Twitter's precedents, you realize that if Twitter has an understanding with the government, they come out to say it, or at least if they don't give detailed information, there is a clear information that indicates that yes, there was somewhat of an agreement, and those agreements were met. But Twitter just always sent a tweet and said, yeah, it's good to be back in Nigeria. You understand? Almost like as if, oh, NEPA don't bring lights, so to say. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I do not feel like there was any agreement reached between government and Twitter. It's a bit, I'm too cynical to believe that. Then also the timing makes it super suspicious. In fact, let me use Lai Mohammed's words here. It's suspect, actually. It's very suspect in this case because it's election year. Tinubu just declared his intentions. The polity is getting heated up, and also to allude to the point that Dayo made earlier regarding claims that there are some bots being used to move followers on Twitter. It just seems so surreal to me that I will not believe that Twitter formally agreed. And also, Twitter does not agree with governments, because the implication of that is this: it means that Twitter has relinquished their rights to operate their social media platform in Nigeria, different from other places. Let's look at other countries where Twitter have had issues. What kind of agreement has Twitter reached with those governments? So let's use precedent. There's no precedent right now. If there's any, someone can point that out to me. But from my understanding, there's no precedent right now that we could actually say, oh, this is how it worked for Twitter in so country. So probably this is how it's also going to work for Nigeria. So for me, I don't think so. And also the last point is this: the whole the tax issue. For me, Twitter can spend more money on trying to use the followers in Nigeria get access to Twitter besides the government. At least majority of Twitter users were using VPN. Yes, VPN might be a bit cumbersome sometimes to use, but it was effective. It was working. So I think they would rather do that than hand over their rights to the government. So I don't believe that there was any agreement. I just feel the government decided to unban Twitter when they felt like they needed to. So that's my contribution.
Thank you very much. However, I think that you may need to double check again. Maybe the extent to which what was agreed is debatable, but that they didn't have any agreement, you need to double check. But we're still taking audience contribution. You can put your mic on mute. Thank you very much. We are still taking audience contribution. Please, we'd like you to share your thoughts, share your opinion. Ayo, I'm bringing you on board now so that you can share your thoughts. For every other person in the audience who has... Good evening. Can you hear me?
Thank you to all the speakers. I actually quite joined a little late. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's breaking, but go on.
Okay. So before I say what I want to say, I actually have a question, and the question is perhaps to Dayo. My question is, based on what I heard during the MSAS issue, um, when everyone, all the youth seems to be against the ban, the Twitter ban, and all of that. But there was this young lady who said something about the international conspiracy in trying to foment in most African countries. And so there is a question. My question is, did Twitter really play a fair game in the NSAS saga? Did they really have good and sincere intention during the period that was that caused so much chaos in the country? That's my question. I would love someone to really talk or give me a response to that. Now, this is my what do you call my contribution. I think I would like to talk about whether it's a win for the government to restore Twitter ban or not. In my own opinion, and for some of us who are of the opinion that government, especially Nigerian government, does not need more money because of the way they've been managing the funds available. So I see it as demanding that Twitter should pay tax, and they were so vindictive about it. To me, it didn't make any sense to me, especially when more money in the hands of these same people is not even translating into the social welfare of the citizenry. So I see more embezzlement. I see more looting, and I see more injustice and all of that. And I think it is worth to note that you don't even what we can consider as a win for them is perhaps if the Twitter has uh, an office here, which to me is not even holding any water because uh, these days we've seen a lot of people who don't even have international passport and they are working with big organizations outside the country. I have a lot of friends who are working with Microsoft, even here in Agege, Yanopaja, and all of that. So having a physical office here in Nigeria to me does not make any meaning. It has nothing to do. I mean, what's it called? So for me, I don't see lifting the ban on Twitter as an achievement, especially on the side of the people. And that's my contribution.
Thank you very much, Ayo. Do we have more contributions? Please, if you want to make contributions, can you please put up your hand so that we can bring you on stage to uh, comment on the Twitter ban and the lifting of the ban. But very quickly, you asked a question about Twitter's role in the NSAS protest if it was
Actually,
a fair one.
yeah.
For me, it's clear it's a fair one because Twitter did not have any interest in what was going on. Twitter is a product of liberalism. We have Twitter and all of the big tech companies today because some governments in the world are not like North Korea and China who believe in censoring opinions and all that. It's a product of democratic ethos or liberalism. So Twitter, all of the things that you probably suspect that or the government may have pushed forward to make it look like Twitter had an intention, it's clearly it's misplaced or it's misguided because Twitter would support democracy. Twitter would support free speech anywhere in the world. So the worst that you would do is to censor them like the Nigerian government tried to do. And please let's not forget that if there is any form of conspiracy, as it were, it's the fact that in international politics, each superpower is trying to push. There's this battle for ideals. You want to push your ideals to become the global order, and so that's why the Americans will tell you, "Oh, you're already crossing the line. This is not democracy." They will want you to say. They will say, if the if your leaders rig elections, we'll ban them from coming to our country and all of those things. Who cares about the US? It is just because they actually, it's a war of ideas. They want to push their ideology, rather. They want to push their ideology that democracy is the best thing to practice. So when you look at it from that prism, you see very clearly that Twitter did not play any untoward role in the whole thing. And just to add that social media, like we know, is a double-edged sword. You can, just like money, money is not bad, it's not good, it's immoral. That's the same way social media is. It's the user that determines what it's used for, if it's right or wrong. So I hope I've been able to answer your question. So we are.
Yeah. Also, I want to make a bit of contribution to what you said. There's also on that point that that has not been made yet regarding Twitter directly banning the president's tweets. Now, some people don't really understand how Twitter actually gets to ban tweets. There's no overlord in Twitter that actually watches you as you tweet. What happens is, if there is a negative traffic generated on that tweet, then it is flagged on Twitter, and Twitter looks into it based on the negativity surrounding it, and those negativity are pointed out by the same audience on Twitter. So that president's tweet got a negative review from audience within Nigeria, and Twitter had to act accordingly because that's their own rules within that Twitter space. So it's not as if Twitter directly personalized the ban on the president. They didn't see the president, they saw a user, breaching their own user policies, and they just acted accordingly. So we should correct the impression that Twitter banned the president's tweet. Twitter actually banned a user's tweet that happened to be the president of Nigeria.
That's it. It's just up.
Did they actually ban it? It was not banned. I think it was deleted. I think, Abi.
Yes, sorry for the misuse of the word there. Ban in the sense that they fact-checked, or not necessarily fact-checked, they curated the president's tweet and removed his tweet from Twitter. Yes.
Thank you.
Just to
All right,
add,
we're nearing the end of the show. Which want contributions? Efe, you want to say something?
I was just going to say that as much as everybody wants to downplay the actions of Twitter, some parents, in certain quarters will not agree. They will tell you that, man, they are talking about the president of the biggest most influential black African nation. You understand? So some people will tell you no. Buhari's tweet is not just a user's tweet, but actually you have made the point, and it can't be better said than that. It was a user's tweet that was flagged, and that's what happened. Just while Edison was talking initially, I was going to ask, and coincidentally he mentioned VPN. So I was going to ask Peter and Dakbo, I was going to ask if you think that the availability of VPN, affected the usefulness of the ban. Maybe Twitter, because it appears that everybody that had anything serious to do on Twitter, but the Twitter must have discovered that somehow they found their way back, from the back door. So I don't know. Do you think the availability of VPN may have watered down the effect that the ban would have had, looking at it from the federal government point of view? So that's the question I was going to ask, before we close the show.
Yes, I believe that the sense of VPN has watered down the effect, because I have a client that built his following on Twitter from 1,000 followers to 58.5k followers on Twitter within this Twitter ban something. Within 6 months, he built his following. You can check him out. Unaman is Caesar, right? So I believe that definitely watered it down, because some people are still carrying on their operations and like nothing happened. So I believe it watered it down definitely.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So Rita, apart from that question, is there something else you want to respond to that we said in the course of the audience participation? Anything you want to respond to, or while you were speaking, something you want to add to?
Okay. From I just realized that, or I just thought to add that the effect of the sorry. So I just thought to add that the reason why this ban was put in place in the first instance was different from the five demands that they requested for. Right? Let me explain. Like the reason why it was put in place in the first instance was that was not respecting the president and all that, like freedom of speech and the rest. That the president too had freedom of speech, and it seemed like the Twitter was in support of the people for them to keep causing mayhem in his own words. Yeah. So I believe that the results, like the when you look at the demands that the president and the what they requested for, it was totally different. Like we're talking about freedom of speech and they're asking for tax and registered business. That is to show you that that these are just antics, right? They're hidden stuff that we've not actually. There are some things that we've actually not come to the root of. Like there's a whole lot that they are not saying. In simple words, there's a whole lot that they are not saying. So that is what I have to say.
All right, Dapo, you want to share your thoughts?
Hi, Dial. I mean, no further thoughts in that sense. I mean, just to say that and beg people, the elections are getting closer. Please go on INEC's portal. I think it's INEC or CBR.INEC or check again. But just Google INEC CBR registration, you said, and people should just get it, start registering. Tell people to do the same as well. So all these gimmicks by the government, Twitter ban or not, putting down the ban 13 months to election, it just shows how that those that think the elections are important to them have started working, right? And this not even just say that they've started. As of 2019, Dial, I already saw Tinubu support group having meetings. 2019. So just to ask people, right, that are listening, please, if you don't have your PVC, go and get it. The portal is cbl.inecnigeria.org. Register and then complete your process later on. But we have to put all of these talks, right, beyond just Clubhouse or Twitter or any other social media platform. It has to be going to get the job done where it can be done. But thanks for having me and really good conversation. Thank everyone for your contributions as well. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dapo. Please do not leave yet. We are rounding up. So we'll just take your thoughts. Efe, you want to share your last thought on the show?
Well, Dayo, if first I want to thank the speakers for coming. Dakbo, Rita, thank you very very much. I must say that you have spoken really well. Your viewpoints have been deep and very very insightful. Thank you very much.